Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is The Dragon Prince, Seasons 1 through 3. Welcome to the magical land of Xadia, where everything's connected to one of the magic primal sources. Everything that is, except for humans. Feeling left out, humans invented their own type of magic, dark magic, which sacrifices magical creatures to draw on their primal energy. The elves were not cool with this, so banished humanity to the other side of the continent and had guarding the border the Dragon King. But just recently, somehow humanity killed the Dragon King, as well as his only egg, the Dragon Prince. So our story begins in the happy human kingdom of Callum, with Prince Callum, a funny nerdy guy. Technically, he's the step prince from before his mom married the king, and tragically she died. But otherwise, it's a happy family with the good King Harrow and his half-brother, Prince Ezran, who's a good-hearted little rascal with his animal companion, Bait, the frog dog. But now trouble arrives with a group of Moonshadow elf assassins, here to kill the king and the princes as revenge for the Dragon King. It's the first assassination mission for the newest member, Rayla, and so eager to prove herself, she sneaks into the castle alone, like, "Time to die, you filthy humans!" But they discover the dragon egg was not destroyed. If they can get it back to its mother in Xadia, it could be the start of making peace. Unfortunately, the other elves don't want peace, they want revenge, and so Rayla and our human princes run off on their own, while tragically the Moonshadow elves carry out their mission and do kill the king. The boys seek help from their Aunt Amaya, a badass general, but she's been fighting elves all her life, she's not ready to hear that this is a good one. So the princes pretend Rayla's holding them hostage, and this group is on their own. So our group's off on a whirlwind adventure, and they have a lot of fun times together, like Rayla doing her best human impression, and long story short, they become best friends. Back in Callum, Lord Viren is the High Mage, and he's a complicated character because he really was King Harrow's good friend and just wants to do what's best for humanity. But he loves dark magic and is kind of a villain, because it's like, oh no, if the king and princes are dead, I guess I have to be king. But he's interrupted when Amaya comes back with the news that the princes are still alive. She has her friend Glenn stay behind to keep an eye on Viren, but he's immediately imprisoned, and he spends seasons 1 through 3 in the dungeon. So Viren sends his own children to go find the princes. His son is Soren, an endearingly dumb jock, but he's a good guy who's friends with the princes, so when his dad's like, "Soren, when you find them, I need you to kill them," he's like, "Wait, what?" His sister Claudia is an adorably quirky, skilled mage, and incidentally, Callum's crush. She would not be okay with killing the princes, so her dad doesn't tell her that part, just says the dragon egg is the most important thing. Now remember, humans can only do dark magic, but Claudia has an incredibly rare primal stone that lets her connect to the sky arcanum. On his way out, Callum snatched it and very quickly learned how to use it. Whoa, you're a wizard, Harry. During their adventure, he learns to master it, and it becomes really important to him. But now they have a huge problem when the dragon egg falls in some frozen water. Oh no, they need a magic veterinarian. Luckily, they hear of one who lives up on the cursed caldera, but the way is blocked by a giant spider. But Prince Ezran, for some reason, can talk to animals, and he's like, yo, this spider ain't talking, cause it's an illusion. Yes, it's a friendly Moonshadow elf who's living up here, but because it's all illusions, she can't heal the egg. The only way to heal it is to hatch it, and a storm dragon can only hatch during a storm. Luckily, Callum's carrying a storm around in his pocket. Goodbye, primal stone. Blam! Oh, big storm, and then, oh, what's this? The dragon egg hatches, and it's the absolute cutest little baby dragon you could possibly imagine. So in season 2, Zim is the group's new cutest animal companion. Sorry, Bait, but I mean, come on. But now Soren and Claudia catch up to our crew, and Callum explains we're not kidnapped, we're friends on an adventure. So Viren's kids face a crisis of conscience, help their friends, or listen to their dad. In the end, they trust that their dad knows best, so they try to capture the princes, but oh, it was an illusion. Yeah, Rayla saw that one coming. So our crew flies out of there, Callum now very disappointed in his former crush. And so the journey to Xadia continues with a lot of fun shenanigans, like this double eye patch pirate with a seeing eye parrot. There's a lot of funny one-off characters on this show. Back in Callum, Lord Viren is very anti-Xadia. He thinks the only way humanity will ever really be free is if they're wiped out. He calls a meeting with the other human kingdoms and gives them his PowerPoint on the dangers of Xadia. The only way to stop them is an all-out war. The other kingdoms are mostly in, except for the young Queen Anya, who's like, yo man, if we keep retaliating, this war will never end, we should be making peace. For example, Soren and Claudia come to a border village where a dragon is just keeping watch. It hasn't attacked yet, but Soren's like, well, I'm gonna attack first. Unfortunately, he misses and escalates the situation. It's up to Claudia to do some dark magic, and oh, it's this thing. The princes and Rayla are nearby, and they fight to rescue this dragon. But all season long, without his primal stone, Callum is feeling useless. But Callum has a crazy theory that if he can remember what the Sky Arcanum felt like, he can forge a connection to it. Eventually, though, he admits defeat. He has to accept that magical creatures are born with their connection, and humans just are not. So now he helps with the only type of magic humans can do, dark magic. Oh, Callum, don't do it! But oh, he does, and uses it for good to free this dragon. But this gives him an awful dark magic hangover, and he's out of commission for a bit, and he has a dream vision quest facing off against his dark magic self. Yes, join me on the dark side. But he tries to explain that dark magic isn't inherently evil, and that's a big question. I mean, is it? For example, some years back there was a terrible famine, but Viren knew a spell that could fix it. So the adults crossed the border into Xadia to get the ingredient, the heart of a magma titan, and it worked. Callum was saved. Incidentally, the boy's mother, Queen Sarai, came along on this adventure, but the Dragon King wasn't happy. They crossed the border, and oh, he killed her. That's where she died. died. Now Claudia is also faced with the dark magic dilemma, because when the dragon escaped, it retaliated against Soren and instantly broke every bone in his body. And she figures, morally, sacrificing this magic baby deer is no worse than, say, eating lamb chops. So she goes with it, busts out a big dark magic spell, and heals her brother. But dark magic does take a toll on the user too, and now she's got this cool white streak in her hair. So Callum is almost convinced he can use dark magic for good, until he realizes, no wait, obviously it's super evil. So he banishes his inner demons, and now when he wakes up, he's like, I understand the Sky Arcanum. Callum, come on, it's just not physically possible for a human to do primal magic, but wait, what's this? Oh, he does it! First human ever! There's more to it than we understand. Now, this cool guy Corvus shows up with bad news about the king, finally tells Ezran his father's dead. Ezran figures he's got to bail on this adventure. It's his duty to go back to Callus and rule as king. And indeed, Callus needs him because Lord Viren is up to no good. He has this strange mirror he took from the Dragon King's lair, and he finally figures out how to turn it on, and there's a room in there with a person. It's a cool-looking star elf who guides Viren through a magic ritual to what's this? Oh, a caterpillar teleported over there, and it runs on Bluetooth. Now he can talk to him, and this guy has an unreasonably deep and sexy voice. His name is Aaravos, and when Viren tries to look him up, he's been magically scrubbed from history, which, you know, should be a red flag. But he's real persuasive, like, hey man, I can help you, and he teaches Viren some ancient magic to create fake elf assassins. He sends them off to attack the other kingdoms. Now they'll have to join the war. And with Aaravos' help, he goes full beast mode to take over Callus officially right now. But it's like, yo man, chill, you're getting ahead of yourself. Surrender for now, trust me. And so in season 3, Rayla, Callum, and Zim have finally made it into Xadia. The border's no longer guarded by the Dragon King, but a new dragon has taken his place, Sol Regum. He's a real old guy who was there when humans first invented dark magic, and he was of the mind they should exterminate him immediately, so this guy had to fight back and still scarred him. And so even with an elf and the Dragon Prince, he still smells human and things get heated. But with some quick thinking, Rayla and Callum managed to trap him there and get away. So Xadia is truly a beautiful place where everything's magical, and Rayla and Callum have a lot of fun together. As they approach Rayla's village, Callum puts on his best elf disguise, but they have bigger problems because when they get there, no one can see them. Rayla's been ghosted. Yes, they assume she deserted her assassin duties, so this magical exile is the punishment. And here, as Rayla's feeling bad about her village, Callum comforts her like, you're an amazing person, Rayla, and oh, it's happening! The Raylum ship is setting sail. They meet a cool skywing elf named Nyx, who gives him a ride across the desert on her giant camel to the oasis guarded by the Wonderwall. She tries to steal Zim, but Zim bites her wing, and she ends up in a bit of trouble where Rayla busts in to save her, and so they end up as kind of friends. Back in Callus, King Ezran is adjusting to the crown. There's some perks like infinite jelly tarts, but there's also hard decisions to be made. Viren's fake elf assassins did their jobs, so now the other human kingdoms are ready to go to war. But young King Ezran is a wise little dude. We're not retaliating, we're trying to make peace. Unfortunately, the other human kingdoms, if you're not with us, you're against us, we declare war on you. Faced with fighting a war to try to avoid war, Ezran makes a difficult decision to abdicate in favor of Lord Viren. Yes, Viren was in the dungeons rethinking his life choices about taking advice from an evil caterpillar, but Aaravos is like, come on man, stick with me. In fact, he cocoons up his eye, so now he can see him as well as hear him. And now his master plan's worked. Viren is officially, legally king. The whole point of Ezran's deal is that any soldiers who don't want to war Xadia are allowed to sit this one out, no repercussions. But most of the army's still sticking around, so Viren finally gets his war on Xadia. But now, fully turning against his dad is Soren. He really is not the brightest, but he's smart enough to figure out that his dad telling him to murder the princes is, bad. But his sister Claudia is not ready to hear it. She's like, Soren, you must have misunderstood him. She really looks up to her dad and is still totally buying his talk about how this is what's best for humanity. So Soren enacts his genius plan to sneak Ezran out of the castle. They meet up with some other good guys and get him a ride to Xadia. Callum and Rayla have finally reached the home of the Dragon Queen, the Stormspire. But right outside is a giant dragon statue. That's no statue, that is the petrified Dragon King. Yeah, we see how Viren had the dark magic spell, and King Harrow, who's normally a good guy, but was blinded by rage with revenge for his wife, went through with it, and that's how they killed him. But now Ezran flies in, our gang's reunited, and they finally completed their quest, brought the Dragon Prince Zim back to his mom. But there's bad news. With her husband and son thought to be dead, the Dragon Queen fell into a depression coma. And there's more bad news, cause Viren's coming. He's getting advice from his new invisible friend Aaravos, and his children think it's a little weird. He's talking to his little bug pal. But Aaravos has had a long time to think about how to conquer Xadia. He's like, first stop, the Sun Elves. He rolls up alone to ask for safe passage, but they're like, lol, obviously not, we're gonna execute you. Meanwhile, Aunt Amaya was stationed on the border and was skirmishing against Sun Elves, including this one who's her match. But one day Amaya saves her life, which is a nice thing to do, but now she's captured. During her imprisonment, these two became friends, and now when she explains what Viren's doing, it's like, oh no, it must be a trap. And indeed it is, because as they try to execute him, oh, what's this? He barfs out a huge caterpillar. Before anyone can react, he corrupts the Sun's staff and possesses this guy. Yeah, Aaravos is back. He instantly kills the Sun Elf Queen, but he can't hold this form. He still needs Viren for now. So now Viren, looking very suspiciously evil, is like, what's up, army? I can make you all immune to fire. He fails to mention the side effect, though. It turns you into a lava monster. Most of the army's not cool with this, but it's not a democracy. He's not asking. Now he's leading an army of fire monsters. Soren has still been hanging around, but takes this as his cue to fully bail. He has his final convo with his sister Claudia, like, come on, Claude's dad's obviously evil, but she's not ready to hear it, so siblings divided. He makes it in time to warn our crew, and they're like, well, to keep them safe, I guess we better bail. But Rayla won't run. She wants to stand and fight because her parents were dragon guards and shamed themselves by running when the Dragon King was killed. But Callum does some magic to see what really happened that night, and her parents didn't run, they fought to the last. But their bodies were never found because it seems like Viren added them to his collection. Yes, he sucks out elf souls and puts them in a coin. Watch out for that. Now Aunt Maya arrives with her new elf girlfriend and an army of sun elves, so it's time to prepare for the final battle. Yes, epic battle time. Our crew's outnumbered, but they got some great fighters, including Callum busting out magic. But the other side, of course, has magic too. Oh, boom! But one really strong ally for Team Xadia is, of course, the dragons. Yeah, busting in, breathing fire, Game of Thrones style. Unfortunately, this is exactly why Aaravos wanted to make the army immune to fire, so they nullify the dragon advantage. And so the situation seems dire, but wait, who's this? It's Queen Anya coming in leading an army of all the good humans ready to fight for peace. All the good minor characters join the fray, hilariously including the royal pastry chef. So Viren's army is defeated and the day is saved. Except for Viren himself. Oh no, he's got Ezran. Soren has to bust in there. Don't you do it, Dad. And how he stabs his father. His sister Claudia is wildly disappointed in him, but not too sad because this was just a distraction. Yes, the real Viren has snuck up the mountain coming for baby Zim. He's trying to suck him up into a vortex, absorb his powers, I guess, for some big boost. Dragon God Rayla's here to protect him, but oh, they knock her swords away. And so she's left with no choice but to tackle Viren off the mountain. Callum's not gonna let that happen, instantly yeets himself down to rescue her. And he does have a plan, because earlier he learned a spell to get mage wings, and luckily he remembers it, cause boom, Callum's flying, saves his girlfriend, these two are in love, and Viren falls to his death. So now the day is truly saved, and more good news, the Dragon Queen wakes up! Oh, mother and son reunited. She sees this alliance of humans and elves working together to strive for peace, and it looks like it is a happy ending for the Dragon Prince. But we're not done yet. This story is just getting started. Viren wakes up like, wow, I fell a long way. It's a miracle I survived. But his daughter Claudia, with a lot more white hair, is like, well, technically you didn't, but I brought you back, Dad. And your little bug pal, well, he's not so little anymore. He's cocooning. Who is this Aaravos, and what more trouble is he gonna cause? Find out on Season 4 of The Dragon Prince. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.